to play on these teams that play in college. And it was really comical. We were over there. Pittsburgh was over there at the same time. They were actually a couple of days ahead of us. Ohio State came while we were there. Kentucky was a few days after. I think Morehead State's there. Louisiana Tech's going over. Samford. Different teams come. And you play the Neil McCready All-Stars. You have no idea what that means, and you just hope they show up on time. Jamie Dixon was telling me the biggest battle is making sure that you tip on time. You got to make sure everybody's there, and you get there. You got goats running across the road. And a bus to us is different than a bus to them, and how do you get your stuff over there? And everything's running crazily. So you get over there, and you guys have seen the gym. We play in the same gym, Kentucky. Now they've added a little lighting. ESPN brought their own lights. They probably heard. So it's like a high school gym, and you get over there, and these guys put shirts on, and you don't know. There's some guys that are 15, 16. There's some guys that are 35. There's some guys come in with a cigarette in their mouth, and they're hooping, and so you just kind of deal with whatever. Us and Pitt played a double header the second night because obviously they're doing it to try to promote some basketball and get some people to come pay for the games. And us and Pitt played, and we played the second game, and we saw guys, take one shirt off, put another one on, and just go back and play us double headers.
Really?
Some guys mix and match. And we played teams in Team 1 that some of them played on another team, and so there's just a bunch of different groups. Their professional season runs October through February, I think. So they didn't have all their guys, but they're mixing and matching and using it as an exhibition tour. So you never really knew what you were going to get.
Do you feel like you learned a lot, though, having said all that? I mean, all that adversity, all those different things you learned about your team?
I learned a lot. We had 10 practices here. We were over there for 5 days. We got 2 games. The positives were I treated it like an exhibition game in that obviously you want to win, but I played all 12 guys. Terry Brutus is not healthy enough yet. He hasn't been cleared for full contact. Hopefully he will be by the end of August, early September. But so of our 12 scholarship guys that were healthy and eligible to play, all of them averaged double-figured minutes. I had 7 of those guys average 18-plus minutes, 4 of which were new guys. 3 of those were new guys. So it was very beneficial to see us in game action. We were able to put in some offensive, defensive stuff that we feel like we can build on, tweak. It was good for us. The depth of this group, the experience of this group is probably as good as I've had, meaning we got 5 seniors, 3 of which have matriculated through our system in Jarvis, Snoop, and AJ. We had 2 fifth-year guys. I've never done that before in Terrence Smith and MJ Rhett, 2 experienced, focused guys. We then bring back Martavius Nubian and Anthony Perez, who are now juniors. And you guys have heard me say this a bunch about how when a kid becomes a junior, you start to realize, hey, this is who he is. You then add 2 junior college kids and Stephon Moody and Rod Lawrence, 2 guys that have started at the Division I level. And then you've got Sebas and Colby, 2 guys that were thrown in the fire as freshmen, and you look to take that next step, and they've done so. You had a freshman in Mark Canvas Hyman. So you've got a bunch of upperclassmen, a bunch of guys that have been through this before, and trying to mix and match and see what we have as a group was very educational to me. When we start back at the end of August, early September, I feel like this experience will give us a head start in preparing for the season.
People always talk about chemistry and stuff. With that many new people and guys who haven't played together, how difficult is it? How important is it to establish chemistry?
Well, it's really important. And I'm not smart enough. I've been doing this. I'll be going into my 10th year as a head coach. I'm not smart enough to know how to, push all the buttons so that the chemistry aligns. I think it has to evolve. It has to be owned by the team. And that's really the biggest thing that I've challenged this group with, especially the seniors, that MJ and Terrence, you're new to this situation, but you don't have time to feel your way through. I want you to attack it with a sense of urgency that last year guys need to play with. Snoop, Jarvis, AJ, all have been good players in this program. All have led to been vital parts of us having some success. This is it. This is the last go-round. I want you to own it. And this gave us an opportunity to put that in play early.
Does this roster look like what you thought it would when you started? I mean, you were honest in the spring. You were going to overhaul this roster.
I think we needed to.
Right, but does it look, in actuality, does it look like what you thought it would look like? And Did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish?
I think so. I felt like, last year, the difference in winning 27 games and advancing in the NCAA tournament to winning 19 games and not going to the postseason were evident to me. I felt like we needed to get more athletic. I felt like we needed to get stronger along our front line. We had a rebounding deficiency that we weren't able to overcome. We weren't as proficient as we needed to be in a number of different areas. And I felt like bringing in the fifth-year guys, bringing in the 2 JUCO guys, I felt like we filled some of those voids. We're still going to be dependent upon, we returned 7 of our top 8. Obviously, Marshall being the lone ranger that was obviously pivotal in what we did the last 2 years. But we lose DeMarco, who's going to Georgia Tech. He graduated, which was a huge accomplishment, and now he'll go and be eligible immediately at Georgia Tech. Derek Millinghouse had an up and down year, and we ended up, dismissing him for a period of time, and his production was up and down. But other than those guys, really the core of our team is back. And then you add, Stephon Moody, who will have a Marshall-like impact, honestly. I'm not sure from a sensational standpoint, but here's a kid that really is a terrific player who brings a wow factor from an athleticism standpoint that's going to give us some pop in that void that Marshall left with volume shooting and volume scoring. Rod Lawrence is he's a very solid piece. I tell him all the time, and he even has to go Google it. I say, you need to be our Ginobili, a guy that can help us in a lot of different ways, and that's what he does. He's athletic, he's energetic, he's a great defender. He can do this, he can do that. Then you bring in 2 fifth-year guys, a guy, Terrence Smith, who scored 1,300 points. He started a bunch of games. He's been through college basketball, and he's been through it at the level that he's never experienced this. This is great to him. So he's excited about this, being in the SEC, had that opportunity. And the same with MJ Redd. Here's a guy that was 8th in the nation in double-doubles, led a league in rebounding. And he has never experienced this. He's never experienced the NCAA tournament. So those guys are hungry for that. So it's been a good addition based on what we've been able to bring in and what we've got coming back. I feel good about our core.